MMA pros are sounding off. Who takes the crown? The undefeated force Ilia Topuria or the submission king Charles Oliveira? Let's hear the final verdict from the fighters themselves. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson presented a razor-sharp technical deconstruction of Charles Oliveira's skill set, emphasizing what makes him such a dreaded finisher in MMA. He complimented Oliveira's upper echelon jiu-jitsu and outlined how Oliveira masterfully takes advantage of errors on the part of opponents with impeccable timing and accuracy. Johnson also did point out, though, that Oliveira is vulnerable when relentlessly pressured. He feels Ilia Topuria's pressure and relentless pace might push Oliveira to the limit early, potentially uncovering weaknesses. Nevertheless, Johnson shows admiration for Oliveira's immense experience and calmness, stating these abilities might allow Oliveira to ride out bad moments and reverse the bout in his favor with timely timing.
Here's the difference. Charles is good because he just fights.
Yeah.
But he also exposes his chin a lot and he gets dropped. Everybody, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, they drop him. And then, you know, Chandler followed him in the guard, but Poirier and Justin, they didn't follow him.
That's a big mistake.
Yeah, but once you drop them, you're like,
if you
pass guard.
Poirier, if you black belt, why are you scared to go with him down?
Yeah.
It upon himself because he doesn't want to reset hunger.
Yeah.
He needs to maintain hunger because he's now made the millions. I think he was already quite well off anyway.
Yep.
He's quite a smart dude. So now he's sort of going into this Makhachev matchup. The problem I have with it is his style, he's a bit of a bully.
Yeah.
Even though he's slick.
Yeah.
Even though he's good on the outside and he moves well and he's got such good timing and feints and head movement. He's very, he presses forward. They can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
He forces it. Yep. You know, he's a bully.
He forces the fight.
Yeah, he forces the fight.
If you're gonna run from him, he's eventually gonna find you.
He's gonna find you.
You're gonna have to fight him, right?
Stay away. Stay away from Ilia.
I feel Islam southpaw, body kick. You know how would if he throws a body kick, will he check in right hand?
Yep.
Will he catch it? Islam does have the judo background. He does have the wrestling background. Yep. So I like that because they're gonna clash. They're gonna clash.
Which is why I like the Lopez matchup for him because he would clash with Ilia in the pocket. Same with Oliveira. He's gonna walk in with his high and tight guard.
High tight guard, Muay Thai style.
They're massive.
Yes.
Compared to the featherweights.
Sport legend Georges St-Pierre also added his voice of great praise for Oliveira's overall development. GSP highlighted Oliveira's lethal ground game, calling his jiu-jitsu elite and his submission transitions world-class. However, what impressed GSP most was Oliveira's stand-up. He pointed out how Oliveira's stand-up is now a legitimate finishing tool, with punches and kicks both playing a role in his recent victories. GSP cautioned that anyone who would underestimate Oliveira's stand-up, including Topuria, would be making a grave error. His words depict Oliveira as a balanced fighter who can finish the fight standing and on the ground.
So my prognostic for this fight is that if the fight stay generally in the center of the octagon, that will give the advantage to Oliveira. And Oliveira, I believe, on the other side, he need a little bit more space, you know, especially to move his hips, to be able to strike and to do some of his favorite submission. So I think, therefore, for this reason, that's how the fight will go down, depending on who is able to implement his game plan.
In terms of predictions, Khabib Nurmagomedov has bet big on Ilia Topuria. Khabib knows Oliveira's resume and achievements, but is convinced that Topuria's pressure, balance, and all-around skill set make him the favorite.
Ilia Topuria. He said, you know what? I want to go up to 155 pounds, fight the #1 contender, and then if he wins that, then he fights Islam. I think that's good, brother. I think he deserves.
I think if he move up and he beat somebody like Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira, he's next. Why not? Because there is nobody.
So you don't think right now Ilia deserves a shot at 155 pounds?
Without fighting in 155? Without? No, I don't agree. Because Islam already give chance. And people talk bad about, like, oh, he fight 2 times with Volkanovski.
He further commends Topuria for staying composed in messy situations, thus controlling the tempo of the fight and making his opponent react instead of acting. Khabib's breakdown clearly establishes that the bout is more than just a style showdown. Topuria is set up to overwhelm Oliveira if he plays the game the right way.
Push this fight, and this fight was good in first fight, but why Islam have to give 3-time chance for 145 champion? Why? It's not fair for 155 pounds.
Right,
But if he move up and he beat somebody like Charles Oliveira, of course. You know what I think?
Yeah.
I think he can beat him.
Yeah.
I think he can beat him.
I like Charles, but I think so too.
No, I think Ilia can beat him.
Meanwhile, Yoel Romero was not shy in his evaluation, going as far as declaring Ilia Topuria invincible at 155 pounds. Romero is truly awed by Topuria's raw strength, accurate striking precision, and aggressive tempo that never lets up in the bout. He pointed out Topuria's serene intensity that psyches out opponents and exhausts them physically.
Charles Oliveira contra Ilia Topuria.
Por el cinturón.
Y para mí Ilia gana esa pelea. Entonces, Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje, en el mismo cartelera. Y vamos a ver.
Eso sería una super pelea, súper interesante en 155. Yo la veo súper buenísima porque hay algo que es muy fundamental. Si Ilia para 145 libras es muy fuerte, en 155 es prácticamente casi imbatible. ¿Sabes por qué?
Romero opines that Topuria's strength combined with his toughness makes him ideal for the lightweight division, and foresees that if Oliveira ever meets Topuria, the Brazilian will have a rough night that won't probably end well.
¿Cuánto pesa Ilia?
Me dicen que camina en 180.
Ajá.
Y,
Ajá.
bro,
O sea, que puede hacer 105. Si él puede hacer 145, lo que están viendo y saben de lo que estamos hablando, bajar de corte de peso. Si él puede bajar de 180 a 145 y cuando se recupera, mira cómo luce. La velocidad, la reacción, la capacidad aeróbica. Sabemos que la capacidad anaeróbica es un monstruo cuando sale explosivo.
MMA Guru had a more balanced view, recognizing Oliveira's vast experience and smooth grappling abilities. He observed Oliveira's habit of getting injured early in battles, but also his ability to bounce back and finish opponents in disorganized, high-stakes situations. Guru cautioned, though, that Ilia Topuria is playing at a different level, quicker, stronger, and more relentless than anyone Oliveira has fought in recent times. Oliveira needs to win, Guru stressed, by being perfect from beginning to end, limiting errors, and completely playing out his game plan without being overwhelmed by Topuria's tempo.
I think if Ilia Topuria is going to lose or Oliveira is going to try and win, he's going to try and damage Topuria from the clinch, shoot offensively with a grappling, which he could get something done from. He could get a takedown and get the back. That's Oliveira. You know, he could do that, but we haven't seen that. And I don't think Ilia's like more lost on the ground than Michael Chandler is when it comes to giving up his back, or I think Ilia's got that, you know, and he's got fight IQ as well. He seems to make correct decisions quite a lot. Or Oliveira could maybe crash in there and land some big shot on him moving forward, being aggressive. I just think Ilia's hands are going to be way faster, and I think Ilia's hands are going to get through the guard of Oliveira, or around the guard of Oliveira, should I say. I think he's going to find body shots in this fight as well. So I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria. I think there'll be a moment where he knocks down Charles quite badly, stands him back up after like a failed TKO finish, and then puts it on him again and maybe puts Charles Oliveira away with a body shot, headshot combination up against the cage. I've got Ilia Topuria winning, but the bully.
He forces the fight.
Yeah, he forces the fight.
If you're going to run from him, he's eventually going to find you.
He's going to find you.
You're going to have to fight him, right?
Stay away. Stay away from Ilia.
I feel Islam, southpaw, body kick. You know, how would, you know, if he throws a body kick, will he check in right hand?
Yep.
Will he catch it? Islam does have the judo background. He does have the wrestling background. Yep. So I like that because they're gonna
clash. They're gonna clash, which is why I like the Lopez matchup for him, because he would clash with Ilia in the pocket. Same with Oliveira. He's gonna walk in with his high and tight guard.
High tight guard, Muay Thai style.
They're massive, compared to the featherweights.
Ilia Topuria's trash talk has been relentless, as he openly downplays Oliveira's career, indicating that the Brazilian's losses exceed his victories, and declaring Oliveira is not a true threat. Topuria even confessed that he wouldn't be working hard to prepare for the fight, an attitude which has further fueled the hostility between them. Such disrespect has polarized fans and fighters equally, positioning Topuria as a cocky and maybe reckless upstart who doesn't appreciate a former former undisputed lightweight champion's achievements and legacy. Topuria has gone beyond simply downplaying Oliveira's ability. He's questioned his mentality in the octagon, claiming Oliveira gives up too easily when things get tough. This is a personal affront to Oliveira's heart and will, hitting a sensitive note with fans who are aware of Oliveira's background of overcoming hardship. MMA veteran Michael Bisping has highlighted how such verbal sparring fanned the flames of this nascent rivalry, portraying Topuria as risking his neck and underestimating Oliveira's toughness and strength under pressure.
That he's the kind of guy that when he feels that you are more powerful, he gives up. He gives up like fast. I don't think that he's the kind of fighter where he finds like some adversidad. How you say
adversary?
That? Yeah, adversary that he keeps going. No, he's like, he gives up. 10 losses. 10. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4,
Can you go to
5,
his record? But
6,
I think it was
7, 8, 9. It's 10.
He's talking a bit of He's come out and said, on June 28th, another dream will come true. I'll be the champion of the lightweight division. Charles, my apologies in advance. I'm just fighting for my dreams. It's unfortunate that Islam Makhachev had to run away. Now,
Topuria's skepticism regarding Oliveira's resilience persists as he questions Oliveira's strength in coping with adversity. He implies that Oliveira diminishes the moment when the fight is against him, criticizing his mental strength rather than his technical ability. This incessant psychological move is a bid to reduce Oliveira's status as a fighter who has repeatedly come back from adversity. These psychological games have pumped up the hype and tension surrounding their possible fight, putting another layer of drama in an already highly anticipated bout.
yeah, I'd love to go for a walk with Charles Oliveira. Actually, yes, to give him a bit of culture, to teach him something, because it's obvious that this kid hasn't read a single page of a newspaper. Another question, please, because this isn't a good time to talk about somebody like that. So there's Topuria being dismissive. There's Oliveira talking shit. Topuria needs to prove himself, apparently according to the champ. Oliveira needs that last final fight to get over the hump to challenge for the belt. And in the meantime, you've got Justin Gaethje, a fan favorite, a company man that's always putting on great fights. All Justin Gaethje's got to do is stay nice and quiet. Let these two keep chatting it up, talking a bit of shit, and Justin Gaethje might just emerge out of this as the winner, as the guy that gets to go up against Islam Makhachev. And then Topuria versus Oliveira, they might fight for a #1 contender spot. Whoever wins that gets to fight the winner between Islam and Justin Gaethje.
Oliveira vigorously denied being a quitter under pressure, which he says is a ridiculous thing to claim. He repeatedly asserted that he is no quitter, citing his career-long toughness and resilience in the face of adversity. Oliveira's counterattack highlights his psychological preparedness for the battle in front of him, demonstrating a fighter ready and eager to prove his detractors wrong yet again within the octagon. This will be essential to him when he fights next.
I feel like every time you fight, your opponents sometimes bring up this concept of you being a quitter or having quit in the past. The fact that you weren't able to train that effectively and still went in there and went 5 rounds and won the fight, does that prove, do you enjoy proving to everyone that like you're not a quitter and in fact actually you're one of the best in the game?
Cara, sendo bem sincero, eu nem ligo porque esses caras falam. Esses caras têm que inventar alguma coisa pra falar. Então, pra mim não faz diferença. Eu só quero vir aqui, tá bem, tá feliz e fazer aquilo acontecer.
Rather than be upset by Topuria's jabs, Oliveira has taken them to serve as motivation and sharpen his focus. He's pushed back with redoubled training and resolve, looking to show his detractors wrong in the cage. Oliveira's message comes through loud and clear. This bout is not merely about victory, but restoring his legacy and place in the lightweight division. His newfound motivation betrays a man intent on shutting detractors up and restoring the championship through a statement win over the upstart sensation.
Então, eu tô em busca do título. Eu não corro de ninguém, nunca corri, não vai ser agora que eu vou correr. Eu tô pronto pra lutar contra qualquer um desses caras, né? Respeito todos eles, mas vou imprimir meu ritmo, meu jogo. Por que não, né? Se for pelo título, por que não lutar com o Topuria?
Eu tô em busca do título, eu não quero fazer mais uma luta para poder esperar o título, não. Pra mim isso não me interessa, eu quero lutar pelo título.
During a recent press conference, Topuria boldly linked Oliveira to Islam Makhachev's actions, threatening Oliveira that he would pay for that. This illustrates Topuria's hot-headedness and the utilization of psychological warfare, indicating he isn't merely preparing for a battle, but engaged in an inner battle. Topuria views Oliveira as a representative of something greater, and that brings the personal factor into the bout. This demonstrates the aggressive intent and confidence that Topuria is entering the cage with, which suggests a high-stakes battle.
Bueno, en primer lugar agradecerle a Charles, la verdad, por haber aceptado el reto, ¿no? Algo que Islam no hizo y tiene que pagar el precio por Islam. Me da mucha pena por Charles, pero bueno, al final del día es mi trabajo. Voy a cumplir otro sueño más que siempre tuve, que era convertirme en campeón de otra división más, por lo que el resultado será el mismo de siempre, salir victorioso y seguir con el invicto.
Michael Bisping highlighted just how important this bout is to Oliveira's reputation, reminding us that beating an undefeated challenger such as Ilia Topuria would shut many of his critics up. Bisping set up the fight as a tale of redemption and legacy, implying that Oliveira is motivated not only by victory, but by a desire to reprove himself as one of the all-time great lightweights in MMA. This turns the fight from merely another fight. It's a moment of defining for Oliveira's career and reputation.
Building between the two of them, and if I'm just engaging, I'm loving this because Topuria wants to fight for the belt and he's going back and forth talking about Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira's already been beaten by Arman Tsarukyan and by Islam Makhachev. So for Charles Oliveira, this might be the path back to fighting for the belt, to getting a rematch with Islam, because I'm not sure that Charles Oliveira right now is the guy that gets the title fight.
Adding fuel to the hype, Paddy Pimblett weighed in on the increasing number of Ilia Topuria supporters. With his own brash personality and outspoken nature, Pimblett's support gives Topuria even more backing within the MMA world. The collective endorsement of fighters like Bisping and Pimblett signals a high confidence that Topuria is a serious contender headed toward lightweight supremacy, which means the upcoming bout is an event not to be missed.
Do you think Ilia beats Charles then?
I think he might, to be honest. Charles is a bit chinny, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's had about 40 fights or something. He always gets punched. He always gets cracked.
Yeah.
So,
he's reckless, but he's super exciting.
Yeah, he is.
And he's dangerous.
Exciting. If he gets him down, I can see him winning, because that £10 difference is a big difference.
Yeah.
145 to 155, it's a big difference. People don't understand that because they don't watch the sport or they're not involved in the sport. But that £10 makes a big difference. And especially like Charles is like my height, Ilia's like down here when I stand up. Know what I mean?
Henry Cejudo also commented on the Oliveira versus Topuria bout, emphasizing the uphill struggle Oliveira has. Cejudo noted how Oliveira will have to change things a great deal if he is to beat Topuria's aggressive style and age. His observation speaks to Oliveira needing to change in the cage or get buried, making this bout a compelling battle of styles and ages.
And particularly, he likes to be in close. And the fact that he likes to be in close with an inside fighter, it doesn't make sense. And that was one thing, the person that needs to make adjustments in this fight, typically you would say the lighter fighter, the smaller fighter going up, but not really. Charles Oliveira has been dropped by just about everybody that he's fought, from Chandler to Gaethje to Islam. I mean, what happens when you go up against a dude that's knocking people out, not TKOing people, knocking people out cold like Ilia Topuria? So when I'm looking at this fight, I'm saying Charles Oliveira is the guy that has to make those adjustments. If not, it's going to be the double champ. It's going to be Ilia Topuria securing himself as a 2-division world champion. That's right.
Joe Rogan complimented Ilia Topuria's work ethic and training regime, proclaiming him to be one of the most interesting and well-rounded lightweights in the sport today. Rogan's seal of approval is from an esteemed voice in MMA commentary and lends credibility to the claim that Topuria is an actual up-and-comer. His skill set and style have gained the attention of the MMA world and make him a serious contender to challenge Oliveira's legacy.
And Ilia Topuria is one of the absolute best fighters in the world. The dude is just fucking phenomenal. One of the things that's phenomenal about him is his technique. He just sees that hand coming towards him and he's ducking. It's all like slight slips away and it's slight motions, which is all you need to get away from a punch, right?
Lastly, Chael Sonnen has given a strong endorsement to Topuria's future, even speculating on future matchups beyond Oliveira. Sonnen opined that a bout between Topuria and Paddy Pimblett would be an exciting clash, mentioning the excitement and hype surrounding Topuria's career path. This level of speculation from a veteran analyst such as Sonnen speaks volumes about the confidence the world of MMA has in Topuria's ability to be a top dog.
Paddy versus Ilia, is that the fight to make? I mean, if Ilia gets through Charles, do you reserve Paddy for him? Do you have Paddy do anything in between? Do you make Paddy the backup fighter for the very night of Charles versus Topuria? It's an interesting question. I mean, they have thrown such a remarkable, and this is when we talk about the dominoes, guys. We talk about the dominoes, and when one piece falls and they all go down, it really is incredible. We're still reeling from some of the announcements that Dana made, and it wasn't just the fights that Dana put together. It's what do we do with some of the players of the pieces that Dana didn't do anything with?
Thanks for tuning into the ultimate showdown debate between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira. Who do you think will take the crown? The undefeated powerhouse or the submission king? Drop your predictions and thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a fight breakdown. Stay tuned for more MMA analysis and fight updates right here.